I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, visible, sir. I can see your presentation, sir. Sir, we are
Okay.
live, now. YouTube live. You can go ahead now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So, hi everyone. Good evening. This is Saurabh Singh from Peak AI, and I'm working as a senior data scientist at Peak. And in today's session, I'll be talking about dynamic inventory management using AI, and we will see how inventory management problem is solved using the tools and techniques available with AI. So, talking about the agenda of the presentation, I will start by giving a glimpse of supply chain analytics. I think there is some noise coming in. If others who are not speaking can please mute. Okay. So, talking about the agenda of today's presentation, I'll start with giving a glimpse of the supply chain analytics, and I'll present the whole gamut of supply chain analytics. Uh, then I'll move on to inventory management. So, supply chain analytics is a broad area which comprises of various entities works in it, and inventory management is kind of one part of that broader supply chain analytics. So after getting an understanding of and an overview of supply chain analytics, we'll move on to the inventory management, where I will talk about uh, somebody can you please mute, there is a lot of noise coming in. Hello.
Sir, Amit Kumar.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So then we will go into deeper how we solve the inventory management problem using AIs. What are different factors that affect and makes this inventory management challenging, and how we resolve those issues which involves uncertainties in supply chain, and what are the ways we can resolve those uncertainties by using safety stock. What are the factors that affect the safety stock? And if time permits, at the end, I will also try to present a use case study where I will try to show the kind of value and business impact that we can create using these approaches, right? So I'll start with the supply chain analytics, giving an overview of that. So supply chain analytics is basically a part of supply chain management. And talking about supply chain, it is a network of interconnected entities that work together to provide a service or a product to the end customer, right? Now, this because of the nature of these entities which are a part of broader supply chain, which are interconnected with each other. This involves the exchange of flow of material, inflow of information, money, resources, to provide end customer with the ultimate goal of fulfilling a service or a product. Okay, because of the significance of information and data involved uh, in all these processes or flow of these information and material and resources, supply chain analytics have become the approaches and tools that the businesses nowadays are effectively using to draw insights from this data and information which is related to the overall value chain process, and tries to extract the value from it, right? And hence supply chain analytics becomes an essential element of supply chain management. uh, Talking about the whole gamut of this supply chain analytics, there are different entities involved in it, which are kind of interconnected with each other, and hence create a sort of a network, which is exchanging information, and which is interdependent on each other. These entities are like suppliers, manufacturers, distributor, retailers, customer, logistics and transportation, inventory management, inventory optimization, planning and procurement of products and good. Now, you understand this is a very broad topic, and given the limited time of say 40 minutes for this session, it is really impossible to cover all of these in detail. Therefore, the focus of the presentation will be on one part of this overall, supply chain analytics gamut, which is inventory optimization. Talking about inventory optimization, this involves the processes and systems used to manage and control inventory levels and ensure adequate stock is available to meet the demand, right? This can be affected by several factors, which are these entities shown in this diagram, like for example, suppliers. If the supply is not correct, it can impact your inventory goals. Manufacturing has some problem, distribution has some problem, retailers can induce some level of uncertainty and inconsistency. So all these things are there, which kind of makes it very difficult and challenging problem to solve. And in this session, I'll try to give a feeler like how we can solve this problem of inventory management. Now, starting with what is inventory. So inventory or stock is referred to the materials or the goods held by any business organization for the purpose of consumption, production, and sale. And these are the non-capitalized asset of the organization, which means that, these are goods which are yet to be sold or yet to be consumed, and hence they have blocked a lot of capital of the organization, but are yet not, capitalized or generated revenue from that. So therefore, it is important. It becomes important for its management. And what is inventory management? Inventory management is the process of balancing the inventory, which means having the right amount of inventory in the right place at the right time, right? So this is broadly speaking about inventory management. There are different types of inventory, which can be like finished goods, raw material, work in progress, and spares part inventory. Now, what is finished good? Finished goods are those inventory which is ready to sell, which can be directly bought from suppliers or manufacturers. And this also becomes a part of retail inventory management. What are raw materials? So raw materials are those inventories which are used in manufacturing of a finished good or a finished product. This is produced or sourced by business itself or from some other suppliers which provide the raw material required to produce a finished good. Okay. And work in progress inventory are those type of inventory which are partially finished good, which is awaiting the completion. And this also refers to the raw material, the labor, the overhead cost incurred for products that are at various stages of the production process. Last is the spare part inventory. This is this inventory which is required to keep the manufacturing plant or unit up and running, but they do not directly contribute to the end product, but are used during the manufacturing or of the product. For example, talking about a manufacturing plant, there is a machine which is installed, which kind of process some raw material and generates a finished good. So that machine or the parts which are used in that machine becomes the part of the spare part inventory, right? And basic functions of inventory management. So the basic functions of inventory management is ordering, storing, managing raw materials, finished good, and other essential components that needs processing and storage. And these fundamentally forms the function of inventory management. So basically, you need to order, you need to store your raw materials or finished good, you need to manage them. So this all becomes the part of your inventory management. So if you are doing your inventory management right, it can offer you operational longevity and efficiency. For example, you have a certain type of spare part required. If suppose the machine which is producing a good goes fatal or has got some problem in that. Now, if that spare part is available at the time the machine goes dysfunctional, you can immediately replace the broken part using that stored spare part inventory that is available in your storage, and you can make your machine quickly again up and running so that it does not affect the overall production line, right? So that's why it is very important for the operational longevity and efficiency of your processes of producing finished good or making raw materials. This inventory management becomes very important. But these function of maintaining the operational longevity or keeping the efficiency in a good shape, these functions of inventory management are often faced by various challenges. Now we'll see what are those challenges in the next slide. So one important, very critical challenge is the uncertainty in the overall supply chain, right? In the beginning slide, I've told there are different entities of the whole supply chain analytics. Like there is distribution, there is manufacturers, there is supplier, and procurement, logistics, resource planning. A lot of things are there, and uh, undesired event occur at any particular stage or at any particular entity level can create some sort of uncertainty on the overall supply chain, which can in turn affect your production line, or it can affect your planning of how much goods you want to produce or how much goods you want to supply and things like that. So this uncertainty is, you have to make a lot of decision under imperfect and unknown information, and that's why inventory management kind of become very challenging. Now talking about where does the uncertainty come from in the supply chain. So there can be different sources of these uncertainties that can come in your overall supply chain. The three major sources of uncertainties are demand side, production, supply side, and production side, right? So what is demand uncertainty? You don't know how much demand is going to come in future, right? You are not sure about your forecast accuracy. There may be a change in consumer behavior which can lead to the obsolescence of a particular product, right? Or there can be an event which triggered the demand spike, and you don't have and hence and when in the case when you could not forecast it accurately, you may have shortage of your product, right? So these kind of uncertainties which is sourcing from the demand side are called as demand uncertainty, which means will the customer buy as much as we have forecasted, right? So it can be caused by forecast accuracy, it can be caused by changing customer behavior, it can be caused by sudden spike in the demand, right? So there can be these factors which can lead to creation of the demand uncertainty, and this can further trigger your production, or maybe it can affect your profits. You can miss your target, you cannot satisfy your customer requirements on time, in full capacity, right? So this kind of thing can occur. Second is the supply side uncertainty. Which essentially means that is the supplier going to be on time for their delivery, right? So for producing a finished good, you might require some raw materials, okay? And these raw materials are coming from a supplier which can be located into different parts of the world. We are a global economy in today's time. We are in a scenario where a certain parts of the product are manufactured. So for example, in China, assembled in Germany and sold in US or any other part of the world, right? So it's a very global scenario, and anything happened anywhere because of any reason can trigger your overall overall rhythm of your supply chain, right? So essentially supply uncertainty is that it can be late deliveries of your required raw material or partial delivery. It can be some other reasons like geopolitics. For example, recently because of this Ukraine-Russia conflict, things which has to be coming from that part of the world might not be coming in on time, or overall supplies are being affected. That may have trickled down on your overall production capacity, and in turn leading to unsatisfied customer, because the product which they need for their consumption is not being uh, supplied on time because of the supply uncertainty. And the factor here is geopolitics, right? So there can be several such factors which can affect your supply uncertainty. Next is your production uncertainty. So will we have that essentially means, will we have enough production capacity to produce these goods on time, right? And how this production uncertainty can occur, or what are the factors that affect this production uncertainty? So suppose you are having a manufacturing plant which is producing certain goods, but the manufacturing plant in turn uses several machines and parts which on the overall assembly line or production line, which in turns produce your finished good, right? So there can be machine breakages, uncertain yield, staff can go on leave or on strike, or something can happen on that side, and that can lead or that can affect your production, right? So this is your production uncertainty. I hope so far so good. Things are clear. I mean, this is very important to understand why the problem of inventory optimization becomes very challenging. And the primary reason is, again, the uncertainty. The sources of uncertainty can be several. Few are mentioned on this slide, which is primarily demand side, supply side, and production side uncertainties, which can be caused because of several factors as mentioned in this slide. Now, moving forward, how to cater these uncertainties and still keep your production line up and running and produce the goods as desired or required by the end customer. So now I will talk about the approach of inventory management that we at Peak kind of follows, and build solutions which help our customer to manage their inventory and satisfy their end customer by producing all the goods on time and in full capacity. So here is the overall architecture of the approach shown here, which starts from the AI ready data. So we create a AI ready data by ingesting the data from the organization for which we are building this inventory optimization solution. We ingest that data, we transform it, organize it. These are large volume of data across the organization. Different type of data is required. So to solve this inventory optimization problem, we have our own data models that we have created, which is required for the further intelligence layer where we make decisions. So this is standard data models. So the raw data is basically converted into these standard data model. In the slide here, you can see what are this data. This is inventory data or customer data, purchase order, bill of material, right? It can be your good received. So there can be several other data set depending upon the type of inventory management. So for example, there can be finished good inventory management. There could be finished raw material inventory optimization. There can be spare part inventory optimization. Depending upon the kind of inventory for which we are building this solution, this data model can change here. But the basic thumb rule is get the raw data from the organization, ingest into the Peak platform, transform it, convert it into AI ready data, so that further modeling or AI can be applied on that, and we can bring the decisions and recommend the best decision to the customer. Okay, so coming to the next part, which is the centralized intelligence layer. So this also has some components. For example, we do the forecasting to anticipate the future demand. Then we do safety stock modeling, which accounts for demand side, supply side, and production side uncertainties, right? Only forecasting will not help here in this case, because as I mentioned in the previous slide, there can be different type of uncertainties which can occur. And this is beyond the control, right? Something happening in some part of the world is actually beyond the control of the organization which is producing a good. Okay, so the organization has to make sure that they have enough inventory available which is required to produce a good, or for the matter, you're making your plant up and keeping your plant up and running. They have to keep a certain amount of inventory in their stock at any point of time. Now this we call as safety stock, right? The question here is, and what we try to optimize here is how much safety stock we should hold here. So these kind of decisions are made in this layer. So here we optimize for any projected volatility, adjust inventory levels in accordance with the uncertainty. We consider variation in historical consumption, lead time, and various other factors to optimize our safety stock modeling, and coming up with a very optimal safety stock, right? So this is the part of intelligence layer. Now the question, as I said, how much safety stock we should need to keep. And uncertainty in the supply chain increases the risk of stockouts, missed revenue, or poor customer services. And to cater to these uncertainties, we have something called as safety stock that addresses these challenge, right? So just to depict the scenario, what happens when you have a safety stock and when you don't have a safety stock. I will come to the point where how much safety stock is to be kept in the later slide, but let's try understand the importance of safety stock first. So in the first scenario, you can see here, so this on the y-axis you have your stock levels, and on x-axis this is your time, and these lines shows the utilization of your stock, right? So as the consumption is happening, your stock is going down. Then you replenish your stock, which again comes to a certain level. Then again the consumption is happening. So consumption and replenishment is happening simultaneously. But suppose there might be a situation which arises because a late delivery from a supplier causes the stock out for several days, as there is no safety stock, right? So here you don't have any safety stock. You order when you completely consume your available stock, and any delay in the supply can cause you stock out. So now in this at this point here, which is depicted in the pink line, shows that for this much time you don't have any stock available, hence you cannot satisfy your end customer requirements, right? Basically there is no goods to be sold off, or to be sent to the supplier for distribution or whatever, right? Now what if we had some safety stock present in our inventory which kind of caters to these kind of uncertainties? So you see here, you always maintain some level of safety stock in your inventory, and as you hit that point, you again order for replenishment, right? So in a scenario where your order does not comes on time, you still have your safety stock which caters to the end customer requirement, hence you are not going stock out, right? So basically a late delivery from a supplier here does not cause a stock out, as the additional safety stock provides that buffer which can deal with that uncertainty. So this is the importance of safety stock in dealing with these uncertainties, which is again I'm stressing upon, is something which is beyond anybody's control, or for example the control of the organization who is making that product or good, right? So therefore we need safety stock. But as I mentioned, how much safety stock we should hold. So there are different scenarios. You try to be a little bit meager, and you keep your safety stock level less, But in that scenario, if you have too little safety stock, there will not be enough buffer to sufficiently cover against the uncertainty, right? So suppose the uncertainty period becomes elongated, then in that case, even after that safety stock is also consumed and you didn't receive your supplies, you will go into a stock out situation, right? Which will lead to stockouts and poor customer service. If suppose you have too much safety stock, what will happen in that scenario? So with too much safety stock, there will be unnecessary capital which is tied up in holding that stock or inventory, which also causes additional storage cost. And if the stock is perishable, that means it can its shelf life is less, then this is a problem. You can obviously cannot have too much of the safety stock. So you have to have a just right safety stock, which is the optimal balance between your service level and stock holding, is found to maximize the monetary KPIs. So that essentially means that uh, there is a trade-off between your safety stock. Having too much safety stock means investing too much money in having that inventory versus your service level. So suppose out of 100 times, if you want your 95% time or 90% time, also if you satisfy the end customer requirement, then also it is good for you. Then you can adjust your safety stock accordingly, right? So having that just right safety stock where you can maintain your service level, which is essentially means being able to satisfy the end customer requirement. Right. So percentage of time you are able to satisfy your end customer requirement is basically your service level. So it is a trade-off between that service level and money required to money invested to hold more safety stock. So when it is just right, it is basically optimal balance between that service level and stock holding, which kind of also maximize your monetary KPIs, right? Now, a organization does not only made a single product. It may make different type of product, and each product has its own behavior. Therefore, every SKU you can consider here as individual product is affected by supply chain uncertainty in a different way. For example, some customer is easy to forecast, while some is notoriously difficult to get right. Some suppliers are reliable and always deliver on time, while others are always late. Some production line work like clockwise, while other are always out of action. Some stock last forever, while some has short shelf life. So there are different factors which affect which is affected differently by your supply chain uncertainty. And therefore, what we need here is every SKU needs a bespoke just right safety stock level. Now we will see what makes up the SKU specific safety stock. Now you have to cater to all type of uncertainties, which is demand side, supply side, and production side, right? Talking about the demand side safety stock, it accounts for uncertainty associated with the demand. So for example, if the demand is very hard to forecast, then that means that you have to keep more safety stock. If your demand is very predictable, it is very accurate, you can go get away with keeping a smaller safety stock. So this is the factors. This is the factor that affect how much safety stock you need to keep. So talking about supply side safety stock, so it is associated with the uncertainty on the supply side, which is the supplier going to be on time for their delivery? So if that is not the case, your supplier is very uncertain, he delivers a required material sometimes in a week, sometimes it takes months. It is very unreliable supplier, and therefore you need to keep a larger safety stock. If the supplier is reliable, you need to keep a smaller safety stock. Similarly, coming to the production side safety stock. So if that essentially caters to, will we have enough production capacity to produce these goods on time? Which means if your production yields are uncertain because of any reason, maybe your plant goes dysfunctional every now and then, machines are old or whatever reason, right? Your staff is very unpredictable. They can go on strike any given time, without any notification, or there can be some other factors, right? Which affects your production side uncertainty. So in that scenario, if this is more uncertain, then you have to keep more safety stock. And if it is very accurate, your production lines are smooth, they have accurate production yields, in that case you will require to keep a very less safety stock. So in totality, considering all different type of uncertainties like production uncertainty, supply uncertainty, demand uncertainty, depending upon the factors and problems associated there, you might need to keep a safety stock for each of these, and the totality of this becomes your overall safety stock. Now this is not static, and this also changes dynamically as the uncertainty associated with the product changes. And in this, as I mentioned, these are the primary sources, but there can be some other type of uncertainties which can also be included in this, right? So this kind of gives us how much safety stock you need to keep. Now let us see some scenarios, real world scenarios, where we see how the safety stock is impacted by those real world scenarios, right? So as I mentioned, for each kind of uncertainty, whether it is demand uncertainty, whether it is supply uncertainty or production uncertainty, your safety stock level can change. The more the uncertainty, the more safety stock you need to keep. The less uncertainty, safety stock you need to keep. So here, consider these scenarios like smooth versus volatile demand. So some customer demand is easy to forecast, while some is notoriously difficult to get right. So that means the more uncertain your forecast is, the greater safety stock you need to hold. And the less uncertain your forecast is, the less safety stock you need to hold. For example, look at this diagram on the left side, where your demand is very smooth. So the dotted line gives you the forecasted demand, and the black line gives you the actual demand. So this looks to be pretty smooth. There is no variation in that. That means your forecasted volume is reliably close to the actual demand. So less safety stock is required to hit the same service level. So you can keep a very less safety stock as mentioned in this blue bar here. But if suppose your demand is very uncertain, very volatile, right? Your forecasted volume is often far from the actual demand. So you will need to have a more safety stock to hit the same service level. As you can see, that the prediction and the actual is very volatile, right? And therefore you need to keep a very large safety stock in that scenario. Now moving on to another scenario, your uncertainty can come through late supplier deliveries, right? As mentioned, suppliers can be reliable or unreliable both. More unreliable they are, more larger safety stock you need to keep. Less unreliable they are, less safety stock you need to keep. So your most of the time your supplier delivers you the required material on time. Very rarely it happens that the deliveries become late. So in that case, you need to keep a low. So this is a low uncertainty scenario where you need to keep a less safety stock. And if your supplier is more uncertain, rarely it delivers on time, and most of the time it is late. That means it is a high uncertainty scenario from the supplier side. Therefore, you need to keep a very large safety stock, right? Talking about the scenario number 3, which is production issues. So some production line work like clockwork, clockwise, while other are out of action, right? So some are very accurate, very proper. Some production line can be out of action, can go out of action any point of time, right? So that makes your safety stock level range from low to high. So if your production line is reliable, you can keep a smaller safety stock because there is a low uncertainty on that front. But if your production line is very unreliable, most of the time you are out of action and you're not producing your goods, right? In that case, you have to keep a larger safety stock, right? And these can be factors like maintenance issues, production defects, strikes is happening, production plan is suboptimal, labor shortages, machine is going breakdown, energy cost, and many others. So these are the factors that affect the production issues. Now, there is one more aspect to it, which is your lead time. Now, what is lead time? Lead time is, the amount of days or time you require when you ordered a material or a product and the time when it is received, right? So that is your lead time, right? So suppose I ordered X number of unit today and they usually arrive in 1 month, or sometimes it is in 1 week, or it can take a year, right? So if you have a shorter lead time, so which is like short time between your reorder date and delivery date, you need to keep this is a smaller uncertainty, and you need to keep a small amount of total uncertainty over the short risk period, right? So you can respond to unexpected events quickly, because your lead time is less, right? Unexpected event, like suddenly there is a spike in the demand, right? And you now need to order, say 2 weeks early. You have planned to order maybe 4 week after, but due to sudden spike in the demand, you are going out of stock. Your goods are being consumed very frequently or very fastly. Now you need to order, and given your lead time is small, you can quickly respond to that unexpected event, and therefore you can get away with a smaller safety stock. But suppose your lead time is long, which is long time between reorder date and delivery date, that means the large amount of total uncertainty over the long risk period. So your risk period is long, uh, therefore the uncertainty is also large. And in cases of unexpected event, for example a spike in the demand, it is difficult to respond, because even if you order today, you know that your goods are going to come say 2 months after, which does not make any sense, because maybe 2 months after the demand goes very low, right? The demand goes down. So in that scenario also, you need to keep a large safety stock. Scenario number 5, which is low versus high service level. So as you increase the target service level, the amount of safety stock increases to cover against an increasing number of outlier event. Service level here essentially means that how many time you have been able to satisfy your end customer requirement in terms of supplying the good or the product that you are manufacturing. So low service level means most of the time you are not able to satisfy your end customer requirement. High service level means most of the time you are able to satisfy your end customer requirement. So if you want to maintain a very high service level, that essentially means you have to keep a higher safety stock, because in cases of unexpected events, you don't want to miss out, or you don't want to go stock out, and you don't want to miss your sales. But you are okay with low service level, then maybe you can keep your low safety stock. Now, these are different scenarios which I discussed, which kind of affect your safety stock. So we take into consideration all these parameters while simulating for the safety stock level for an organization, right? And basis that, we come up with the recommendation like what should be your reorder point. That means how much safety stock you should keep, and above that becomes your reorder point when you want to reorder your goods or material or product, and how much quantity you should need to reorder, which also depends upon the kind of demand that is being forecasted, right? So these are the outcomes that comes out of this model. Now, there is a AI feedback loop, right, in this centralized intelligence layer, which kind of caters to the unique business guardrail. For example, lead time, if there is any bulk purchase opportunities, minimum order quantity, which means the organization specify that I can only order in some lots of quantities, right? Quantity lots. So those kind of unique business guardrails are also taken into consideration, which is put on top of the model recommendation, and a final decision is being communicated or recommended to the end customer for the improved decision making. So what happens now, you can the end customer now can visualize the safety stock. It can see the recommended or reorder point required for each raw material or finished good at each plant location to achieve a target service level. You can compare trade-off in cost with different service levels here. You can optimize your safety stock level for each location, and you can also compare your actual versus target service level and flag SKUs which are at risk, right? So it kind of help end customer make proper and informed decision. They can also order, they can also reorder with the recommended reorder quantity, and at what point they should need to reorder, how much safety stock they need to keep. They can also view what given the model output and their unique business guardrail, which are those SKUs or product which are currently overstock or which are currently under stock at their different manufacturing location. And they can also review overview their service level performances, how much service level they are being able to provide to the end customer. So this is how using AI you can solve the problem of inventory optimization for an organization. And what are the major outcome of this? So the major outcome is you can keep your production line up and running. You can avoid the stock out situation. You can reduce your working capital, which is tied up in holding extra inventory because you are not sure how much inventory you need to keep. That also essentially means that you can decrease your storage cost, because holding extra inventory means you need more warehouses, you need more space, which you can reduce. You can reduce obsolescence, which means that not any product remains lifelong, uh, um, lifelong, can be used or utilizable. Sometimes they go obsolete, they go out of trend or out of fashion, and you need to discard those kind of products or material which don't have any requirement. For example, a spare part, a machine is replaced, so the spare part related to the older machine for your plant is no more required. So all those kind of things you can reduce. Whatever obsolete inventory is there, you can reduce. You can hit your sales and service targets properly, which essentially means that you can maximize your OTIF performance, which is on time and in full, right? So I suppose how much time do I left? If I have 5 minutes, then maybe I can also cover one interesting use case study in the project that we did with one manufacturing organization. It will kind of give a glimpse of how these kind of projects are done at industry. So I hope I have 5 more minutes.
Yeah, yes, sir. Please carry on.
Okay, cool. So let us talk about one interesting use case study. And in this, I'll show you how we can create business impact and drive value using, the approach which I have explained in my previous slide, right? So, so just to give you the introduction to the use case study. So this study was applied for spares part inventory. So if you remember in the very beginning, I told you that the inventory can be of different type, like it can be raw material, it can be finished good, it can be spares part inventory, it can be work in progress inventory, right? So this project was done for the spares part inventory. Now, what is a spares part inventory? So for any manufacturing organization, the spare parts inventory is very critical in maintaining, repairing, and keeping the production operations is smooth and up and running, right? So basically these are those inventory which does not directly contribute into the production of the finished good which a manufacturing organization is producing. Rather, it is required to keep the production line up and running, right? And unavailability of such spare parts can lead to plant shutdown, and it can affect the production, and hence leading to the shortage of finished good in the market, right? The goods which the particular organization is manufacturing. Now, without a steady supply of spares, no factory can operate at a high level of output. So you need to have your spares supply steady, because you are not sure, organization may not be sure when a particular kind of spare part is required to repair a particular type of machine or any part of the production line, right? Any equipment. Now, but what happens, right? What is the challenge with the manufacturing organization or the big manufacturing organization, like organization which are producing steel or which are producing cement and so forth? The problem is these spare parts, these are very huge, humongous plants, right? Bigger equipments and machines are installed, and different type of spare parts is required for the proper functioning of those machines or those equipments installed in that production plant. So therefore, these spare parts are in thousands or lakhs in number, right? And any improper management of these lakhs of thousands of spare part, what can it can lead to pile up or understock situation, right? So basically, in the fear of uh, going for a breakdown, unintended breakdown of any equipment, you have overstocked or piled up a spare which is required to repair that machine or an equipment, but that machine is not going into a breakdown situation, right? So this kind of scenarios can happen. So people who are working at those plant are not always sure how much spare part they need to keep, or there is a limitation. They need to keep some amount of spares for such unavoidable situation, but how much to keep and when to discard them and when to replace them, this kind of visibility is not there, because of the simple fact that this is a very thousands of spares are there lying in your stores, right? So for a human it is not possible to do it, right? So what is happening in today's manufacturing organization? They are drowning in excess and dated spare part inventory. And analyst estimates that these excess, obsolete, or infrequently utilized spare part typically kind of make up to 40 to 60% of all the spare part inventory in a manufacturing organization, which is very huge, right? This is crores of rupees of capital blocked into keeping those spare parts. Now, giving the context of this particular study, so this is a manufacturing organization which has its manufacturing plant at various location. I may not name the kind of product or goods the organization was manufacturing, but the capacity is somewhere around 15 metric ton per annum, which is very huge. And they have different type of spare part inventory, which is like regular spares, critical spares, insurance spares, right? And the total value of their inventory is approximately 95 crore rupees, out of which the regular spares is 67 crore rupees. Now, what in this project, we had to face a lot of challenges, like there was data issues, duplicate material, missing data, inaccurate information. Their inventory was growing rapidly, and most of it lying unused, which is kind of blocking capital. The organization does not have visibility on which material is overstock or under stock, and also they are not sure when to order, what to order, and how much to order. So these are different challenges. And we analyzed their data and did some intervention and recommended some intervention, which is like we analyzed their all stock report data, their previous historical consumption patterns. We have seen how much they are ordering new spare parts. right? How much they are receiving the new spare parts. We fixed the data errors which is present in all these different data sets, duplicacy or missing and these type of things. And we built that application as I've shown in the previous slide. Now with the help of that application, we have came up with our recommendation, which is essentially the reorder point and order quantity for each spare part for each SKU. Right. And with this whole exercise, we have been able to identify what is their current overstock inventory and what is their current understock material. Now we have identified that out of that 67 crore rupees, 46 crore rupees of inventory is overstock, means they have piled up those spares more than required. We have also done some historical consumption data analysis, and it further helped us identify those materials which have no consumption history in last 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and more than 3 year. So what we did, we look at that data and we filtered out all those material which have no consumption history for more than 3 years. That means those spares are lying in the inventory for more than 3 years and does not have any consumption history. So we classified those material as no demand or zero demand material. And the value of such material was somewhere approximately 13 crore rupees out of that 67 crore rupees. Now we have suggested the organization to kind of decapitalize these spares, or maybe transfer these spares to some other plant location where they can be utilized, right? So this is the 13 crore inventory which is blocking the capital, which is tied up, could be freed, right? And you can reduce your overall level of inventory by kind of decapitalizing those materials. So this kind of AI is very simple and very nimble, in the sense that you just need to get your data right, and then you just need to run some simple queries which can help you identify things like what are your obsolete material, and what kind of decision you can take to free up that clutter which is accumulated over a period of time, right? And optimize your inventory level. You can get your revenue back out of that blocked capital. Okay, so and then as told that we have also suggested them what should be the minimum order, what should be the minimum amount of spares they need to keep, and what should be the maximum amount, or what is the recommended order quantity. So with this two information, we started helping them in their purchase decisions. So whenever they go on to purchase a particular kind of spare, they can always look at the recommendation, like what is the current amount of inventory present, in their stock. And if that is less than the recommended order point, if it is under stock or over stock, or it should be ordered or not ordered, this kind of decision can be made. So basically we started rejecting their purchase decision for all their overstock material, right? So the kind of value that is started generating this decision intelligence recommendation is, in 3 months of period, we kind of rejected their approximately 6.8 crore rupees of purchase requisitions, which essentially means that had this AI system was not in, as this AI inventory optimization AI application was not in place, they could have gone with the order of this 6.8 crore rupees of material for those SKUs, again piling up already overstock material, right? So if you look at this rate, you can easily save 25 to 30 crore rupees of money by just simply stopping reordering those materials which are already present in your inventory in a overstock situation, right? So this is the kind of value and impact, business impact, that can be drawn with these inventory optimization applications. And I think with this I'll end my presentation, and the floor is open for questions if there are any. Hello.
Hi, Saurabh.
Yeah.
This is Fawad. So, in order to perform this approach, you are using the support of an application or software. That's what you said, right?
Yeah. So
So,
yes.
so based on the organization, each organization has different kind of procedures. Means so
Hmm.
you are you developing separate application for each organization which you are approaching, or you are using a common platform and customizing to separate?
There are two aspects to it. One is the platform which we use to build these type of applications. So which is essentially a peak platform which kind of helps quickly build such bespoke application. We have a generalized application available with us, which kind of can be integrated to any organization uh, to help them optimize their inventory. But again, as you mentioned, rightly mentioned, in fact, that every organization has their own way of doing things and their own processes. Therefore, we kind of customize these standard applications that we have built as per the business requirement of the given organization. And we add some more heuristic approaches and layers on top of the existing application which do this inventory optimization.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Yeah. So one more thing I just want to add here, having this standard application available, what it makes is basically it reduces the time to value. So for example, you started a project and you are trying to build a completely bespoke application from the scratch. The overall time to build that application and then the time to realize the value if that application is put into production will be very long. But if you suppose you have done most of the say 80% of the job already done with the existing with the application, then you only need to do 20% of bespoking as per the organization requirement. So overall time to value is very much reduced. Hence, the organization can quickly see the value and impact of the application in their decision making.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
Is it possible to show a demonstration of applications so that we can have a better understanding?
I think it's a bit company confidential.
You don't have any demo.
So right now I won't be able to give the demo of that.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
How it is different from SAP, sir? SAP.
So basically, SAP is a ERP solution which kind of helps organization to maintain the record of their data, their goods, inventory, help them in digitalizing their processes. But at the end, it does not essentially provides any intelligence on top of their existing data, which can help the organization take better decision, right? In SAP, you can kind of create a process for your PR purchase requisition. But the SAP does not recommend if you want to create a PR whether you should do it or not, because you already have that inventory overstock. It can tell you the existing inventory level, but if the person who is ordering is not sure if this is overstock or understock, then it does not help them. And how you can be sure? You can be sure basis your future demand projection and as well as looking at the past historical consumption, right? So therefore, essentially, SAP completely does not help in making very informed or intelligence decision. They can help in the process of decision making by making it digitalized, but not essentially in terms of making an intelligent decision.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi. Hello.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear. I can hear.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening.
Thank you for an excellent presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
Sir, I was wondering,
Hmm.
what are the tech stack requirement of somebody just starting out as an entry level data scientist in the company?
Exact requirement would be, you should be well adept with the foundational knowledge of data science, which involves statistics, computer programming, and your database management system, primarily SQL, which is a part of your data wrangling, data massaging, machine learning. So bit of a basic understanding of that to start into this field.
Sir, and any specific frameworks, for example, sklearn or
Yeah, so I think Python is a go-to language these days for the data scientists. So you should be definitely having a good hold on the Python language. As far as framework or packages are concerned, so the field is very broad. You have supervised learning, unsupervised machine learning. You have a statistical analysis. You have deep learning. Nowadays is the time of Chat GPT, which is generative AI. So all these require different type of packages and framework. I think Python remains the core of all those things. So having a good hold of the Python language, and then on top of that, depending upon your interest, what kind of problems interest you more, whether it is from the cognitive AI part, which is generative AI or deep learning, NLP or speech processing, or something which is more business related, as has been shown in this presentation. You can start getting more deeper into that particular domain.
okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So is there any other question?
Yeah, one more question.
Yeah.
How are you making it the data quality as it has to be the algorithmic bias, right? In order to make some decision based on the data we are going to identify.
Is this Sankar? So I couldn't hear you properly. There was a lot of background noise. Can you repeat your question?
How are we maintaining the data quality on each and every step? Like we are going to be build the algorithm which should be an algorithmic bias, right?
I'm very sorry. If you can type your maybe question in the chat, I'll try to answer. I'm really unable to hear what you are saying. Hi, can you please type your question? Okay, so how are we maintaining the data quality? So we used to build data pipelines, and there are standard data validation checks, data SOPs are there that we try to follow, right? Uh, so, you can look into detail what are best practices uh, for your data quality checks. Maybe you can search on your net, you will get a list of different type of data validations that you can do on your data. For example, the timeliness of your data, how much data is missing, whether your primary key data is present or is missing, and so on and so forth. So on top of raw data, one is you put all these data validation checks, right, to identify if there are any data gaps, and then kind of try to course correct it. And then at the later stage, you need to transform your data so that it becomes AI ready. So any model that you want to apply has a specific data input requirement. So a raw data has essentially to be converted and transformed into that particular data model, which goes into your machine learning model. So you need to build pipelines or modules which kind of regularly do this data quality checks, data validation, and data transformation. So that is broadly how you keep your basically maintain your data quality.
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Hi, good
Uh,
evening.
so, if any organization wants to take your services or take your platform, adopt to your platform, then how
Yeah.
much it will cost to that organization?
So I think I might not be the right person to answer this because I'm not from the commercial side. I'm more from a technical team person. So maybe you can look into our website and try to reach out, or if you want, I can connect you to the appropriate person who can answer your question on the commercial aspect of the platform, in case you want to take services of that platform.
Okay, that will be fine because
Yeah, so if you want, you can connect to me. I think my mail ID is there with the organizers. So you can always reach out to me on my email and I will be happy to respond to you there.
okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a question. Maybe this is very fundamental. So, do you provide the internship also for like for our program?
You mean internship at the
Yes.
organization?
Yes.
So this happens, but there is not a set process to that so far. We usually prefer regular employees to be a part of the organization to work on the projects, because these are kind of projects that we work are very customer critical projects, and there is bit less scope on the experimentation side, right? But time to time there are schemes being launched by our company for the internship opportunities. So maybe you can keep looking at the website, and if there is any such schemes coming up, or you can follow the LinkedIn page of the peak company, and then if there is any such scheme which is coming up specifically for graduates, then you can definitely apply there. So one such scheme was launched last year, which is called as graduate scheme. Right, so these kind of schemes comes from time to time, and if there is any such scheme coming up, then you can obviously apply.
Okay, thank you, sir. We'll follow the scheme.
Yeah.
So, for as part of like my question is like, suppose being an experience, I'm actually I'm an experienced professional right now, and I mean I have experience, and I'm also part of this particular this program, IT Plus program.
Okay.
So once I complete this course, so like is there criteria like do you guys prefer only like the freshers or like the experienced people also in this field?
So it depends upon the requirement at the given moment, at the given point of time, right? So we also take freshers as well as we also take experienced, and that depends upon the position available, right? So don't have a direct answer to your question, but again, I mean, the openings are available at the careers page of the peak company, where you can keep looking, and if there is any relevant opening for your, which is matching your educational and experience qualification, you can obviously apply there.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah. So if there is no more question, then maybe we can close the session. Hello.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
No questions from my side, looks like.
Okay. So thank you everyone for joining in this session. It was really nice talking to you all and presenting upon dynamic inventory management using AI. All the best to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.